hit like and subscribe. You're watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel.
Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to Night School. Every night here on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel, we hold Night School, where we break down the most pressing issues, the most controversial subjects, the most engaged debates going on in the world today. I want to thank you all for your patience over the last week. Some of you know I was dealing with some health challenges last week, and I was on the road dealing with those health challenges, which made broadcasting very difficult. We also had some other things going on, but there were some family things that had me traveling to Philadelphia to handle. Long story short, just some family health stuff that took me to Philadelphia, which had me on the road and dealing with stuff is the short end of it. I had the ability to, as we start Black History Month, to travel the country a bit, which was also interesting. This Monday, I was in Indianapolis. No, I was in Indiana. I was in Terre Haute, Indiana, speaking. After being in San Diego the night before, or 2 nights before, and so it's been a whirlwind of just zigzagging around the country, and been struggling a little bit this week with exhaustion, as well as some other health stuff. But I made a tweet earlier today saying I would make sure that I'm up tonight, make sure that I was out on the stream tonight, and I've done that. We're starting at 11 instead of 10 because I don't know if you saw at 10 o'clock I went live. I went live at 10. I just didn't go live with Night School. I went live with a special announcement that Irv Gotti had passed away. Legendary rap producer Irv Gotti, the founder of Murder Inc. Records, excuse me, passed away a few hours ago. And so we went live at 10 o'clock here on the channel with breaking news about Irv's passing. It's still shocking to me. It's stunning and disappointing and upsetting, not just because I knew Irv not super well, but well enough to care that he passed away. But it's the bigger question about what it means for us to be dying out here. Preventable things. Family, take care of yourself. Go to the doctor. Check your blood pressure. You know, all the things that we're supposed to do. And so we wanted to cover that at 10 o'clock because it was breaking news. But now we're here at Night School, and I'm excited to be here with you all. We're not going to be here super late. Again, I'm still dealing with some health stuff, and so I can't go super long. But I wanted to at least have the conversation. A shout out to all of you who are out there who've been waiting and supporting. I'm grateful. Shout out to you, Henry. Thank you, Henry from DC, present. Great to see that you were able to make it. And by the way, let us know what city you're coming in from, what state you're coming in from, what country you're coming in from Night School. It's always good to see that this is a global classroom, and I'm excited to see people here. Someone said, Mark, you've been posting every day on Instagram. You could have also left a message on your YouTube community tab saying that you would have been absent. Well, I apologize for not leaving a note on YouTube. I don't post on Instagram every day. I think you all are assuming the Instagram posts are me personally doing them. I have people doing social media who are different than my YouTube team, but I should have left a note on YouTube. I was going to leave one today if I didn't do it, sort of explaining things. I apologize again for not leaving a note. The truth is I planned on coming on these nights, and my body just wouldn't let me. And I was trying to listen to it a little bit more. But again, I should have sent a note afterward, at least saying, hey, here's what happened. Sorry, I'm not here. But this week was my body. Last week, it was the kids. So it's just been a whirlwind. And again, I should have left some notes. I apologize. So let's get started. We're going to do sort of live Q&A, but before we do live Q&A, I want to talk about this week, some interesting developments that have taken place. I'm going to be writing the banners as we go. Again, I didn't want to make you wait any longer. I don't want to make you wait any longer. But please, in the meantime, please post your questions. I'll do my best to have answers for them. I'll do my best. I appreciate you, Billy Halves. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Look, things will get better. They have gotten better. Slowly, surely, steady. They're getting better. I'm glad you asked the question, King Yemen, because this is where I'm going. How do you feel about Trump speaking on Gaza? That's actually the first topic that I want to talk about. Donald Trump has recently spoken about what's going on in the West Bank. Excuse me, in Gaza and the West Bank. But I want to talk about Gaza right now. And we'll pivot to this other, I think, really significant question about his bigger vision for Palestine, because I think both of these things are connected and they're inseparable from the broader issues that we need to be thinking about when it comes to Israel and Palestine. But let's start with Gaza. And of course, we know Benjamin Netanyahu was in the United States. He was in the White House. And it seemed that it's almost impossible to say this and be true because of the U.S.'s history, but it is. I've never seen a U.S. president more in the pocket of Israel than Donald Trump. Or let me say in the pocket, firmly aligned, because it's not like there's a reciprocity here. And it's not like Israel is bribing the United States. It's more like they have this mutual relationship that is built on a kind of obsession with the same kind of traditional imperialist practices, but just on steroids. I mean, it's quite shocking to hear Donald Trump and Netanyahu together. And when Donald Trump says something ridiculous, instead of it being reined in or managed, it seems that Netanyahu doubles down on it for Trump. Particularly, like, if you look at the Gaza proposals, I think that's exactly what we've seen. But I want to be very specific here in what I'm talking about. Netanyahu comes to the White House on Tuesday, and Donald Trump proposes very publicly this idea that Palestinians could be placed elsewhere. They could be resettled elsewhere, right? That's the first part of it, right? He's like, we got to resettle some of them. And when the question was, well, how many? He said like 1.8, 1.9 million of them. That's basically the remaining population of Gaza after you think about all the people who have been genocided. So he's talking about them all being gone, that they can go to neighboring countries, I believe was the language that he used. Saying that Palestinians in Gaza can go to neighboring countries is not surprising when you hear the extreme Israeli right say it. It's not shocking when you hear sort of, Zionists here in the United States say it, but even mainstream Zionists and mainstream liberal Democrats and mainstream Republicans, they at least pretend to care about a two-state solution, which again is bullshit, but they at least feign engagement with the two-state solution. But this was something else. Donald Trump said that Palestinians would have no alternative but to move out of Gaza, that they would have no alternative than to move out of Gaza because it was a, quote, demolition site. And he tried to say, oh, Palestinians would love to do that. They'd be thrilled to live anywhere but Gaza, and obviously the two neighboring countries that make the most sense are Jordan and Egypt. And so this idea that he's just going to enforce or force Palestinians in Gaza to move to Jordan and Egypt, it's stunning. Now, let's also add that the Kingdom of Jordan, the King of Jordan, and the President of Egypt. So yeah, you got Abdullah and you got Sisi. They said very clearly, we're not doing this. They said very clearly, we respect the sovereignty of the Palestinian people. They said very clearly, there ain't no room here. That's a security for us. There's all the reasons why you don't move Gazans to the neighboring countries. And the world responded. And there's some responses that I understand. I understand Netanyahu saying, oh, this is a great idea. It's provocative. We should think about it. Of course, Netanyahu is going to say that because Netanyahu supports genocide. Netanyahu just prosecuted a genocidal assault on the Palestinian people. Netanyahu is trying to support an Israeli right wing that believes that all of Israel, all of Eretz Israel, that the entire region from the river to the sea is Israeli land and that Palestinians have no place in it. So, of course, he's going to love something that gets rid of Palestinians and is informed by that belief that Palestine is everybody's. Is everybody's to take, I guess. But you know, it's only Israel's to take. That everybody who's making gestures toward it has to be secondary to the Israeli government because they have a natural, whether it's theological or legal or whatever, they have a right to it. So this is Trump's argument. But Trump said something else. Forgive me for chewing. It's necessary. Believe me, I'd rather not be, but again, a little bit of health challenge. But Trump said something else. He said that the U.S. should be taking over and would be taking over the Gaza Strip. So he's saying Palestinians need to leave. But then he said Palestinians in Gaza, he said Palestinians in Gaza should not go through, quote, should not go through a process of rebuilding. Because right now we know that the cost of rebuilding Gaza is in the tens of billions. And he's like, yeah, don't do that. Just resettle permanently in nice homes elsewhere. But here's the other part. He said, the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out. He's talking like a developer, not like a president. Although U.S. presidents follow the same imperialist logics. Create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. What he's really saying is tear up Gaza, destroy it, and create more jobs for Israelis and for whoever else comes into that reason to take over. Because he said it looked like what? A Riviera. He's talking like a developer. He said, just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it was for 100 years. So his idea is there's 100 years of fighting. Let's stop it by getting rid of the Palestinians. Well, Palestinians are fighting and resisting an illegal occupation. They're fighting and resisting apartheid rule. They're fighting and resisting a settler colonial project. So you're rewarding the colonizer. You're rewarding the person who's violating international law. You're rewarding the victimizer over the victim. This is not a morally responsible or appropriate position to take. You can't tell me, well, you know, Israel came and took over and destroyed much of Palestine, dispossessed Palestinian people, and they keep fighting back. And I can't deal with this fighting. So Palestinians just go. How does that make sense? How could that be possibly be justifiable? But anyway, he said, I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And of course, says, I don't take this lightly, you know, whatever, right? But this leaves us in an interesting place for lots of reasons. I'm sorry, one more thing that Trump said. He said, I envision world people living there, the world's people. He said it would be, he said representatives from all over the world, Palestinians also. He said it would be, quote, the Riviera of the Middle East. And of course, Netanyahu says, oh, yeah, it's a great idea. Brilliant, Donald. Because it advances his interests. And so this is how we have to be thinking about this. And we have to, this is how we should be criticizing this. Gaza is not a developer site. It's a homeland. And the native people of that land deserve self-determination. They deserve justice. They deserve peace. They deserve freedom. I don't understand why this isn't, actually I do understand. I'm disappointed that this isn't producing more outrage. Yeah, the left is saying something, but you're talking about the overwhelming majority of people in this country who are saying nothing to this. These are people who are outraged at Ukraine. Can you imagine somebody saying, oh, well, these Ukrainians got hit, and so, you know, it's so much mess over there, and Russia's going to keep fighting with them, so let's just get rid of the Ukrainians. What? What? How does that make sense? How does that possibly make sense to you? The fundamental issue here is Israeli occupation or Israeli apartheid. It's what Rashid Khalidi calls the 100 years war on Palestine. Everything else, if you don't recognize that, will just confuse you. During the election cycle, and this is the part that is very frustrating. I'm sorry, I'm pulling up your questions here. Give me 1 second, y'all. And I apologize for chewing. It seems to be bothering some of you. I needed sugar. It was a gummy bear that I took for sugar. Again, sorry about that. Anyway, there's some interesting things here that I want to think about here. I mean, one is the public reaction to this. There are some people who are saying, oh my God, I can't believe Trump did this. Even for Trump, this is bad. This is not inconsistent with who Donald Trump is. This is not inconsistent with what Donald Trump said he would do. This is not inconsistent with anything that we've seen from the first Trump administration. Donald Trump cut UNRWA funds. He literally cut the lifeblood of the Palestinian people for no reason other than Netanyahu wanted him to. They wanted to take UNRWA off the table as a final status question. That's why they did it. Donald Trump, there's an area. Are y'all familiar with this area? And I talk about this. Let me show it to you. Just so y'all don't think I'm exaggerating. There is an area in the Golan Heights. And if you didn't know, the Golan Heights are illegally occupied by Israel, right? They were taken from Syria in the 1967 war. In Israel, there's an area called Ramat Trump or Trump Heights. You know why it's called Trump Heights? Because Donald Trump supported this area being recognized as Israeli territory. And so they named an area for him called Trump Heights. This is how much Donald Trump is supportive of the Israeli occupation. And I'm only talking about the occupation right now. We will move on to the other parts later. But so Donald Trump has never been unclear about where he stood. Donald Trump has said, look, settlement expansion in the West Bank, not my issue. But also not acknowledging that it's illegal. So you cut UNRWA, you support settlement expansion. You're saying effectively you don't want the Palestinian people to exist. Moving the embassy to Jerusalem. It's all U.S. presidents. No U.S. president has tried to end the Embassy Act, but Bill Clinton started it. But Donald Trump is the first person to not invoke the waiver, thereby making the U.S. embassy in Jerusalem, which sends the international message that Jerusalem is Israel's. Again, that's a final status question, but fundamentally, Israel belongs to the Palestinian people. Certainly, Jerusalem belongs to the Palestinian people. Certainly, East Jerusalem. So all of this is part of the plan. This is, again, frustrating. But it's a clear sign. Trump has absolutely no interest in anything else but making money. The Abraham Accords. You can call it a peace deal in the Middle East, but they're brokering deals with people who ain't had beef with. What does it mean to strike a peace deal with Morocco? What does that even mean? These are arms deals. These are defense contracts. These are ways to ensure that countries are buying weapons. And that's the problem. That is the problem. And so October 7th last year was inconvenient to Trump's aspirations. Trump doesn't care about who lives and who dies. He just knows that it's going to be hard to make a deal with Saudi. It's going to be hard to make money off of war. It's going to be hard to make money off of, all these things, security, all these things. It's going to be hard to make the money if there's beef. But anyway, I don't want to belabor the point. Trump is unequivocally, indisputably committed to making as much money as possible. And he doesn't care about anything else. Everything else is incidental. So Trump is not a surprise case here. It's not a surprise that Donald Trump is doing this. So if it's not a surprise that Donald Trump is doing this, then please stop acting surprised. When Donald Trump and Kamala Harris were running, the thing I was saying, forget about who people vote for. These are two awful candidates. And on this issue, they're two awful candidates. And people pointed to Kamala Harris's support of genocide and Joe Biden's support of genocide. Sure, cool. But Donald Trump supported it too. And people said there's no way Donald Trump will be as bad as Joe Biden, or there's no way he'd be as bad as Kamala Harris. Obviously, we will never know how good or bad Kamala Harris was because she lost the election, mightily so. What we do know is Trump's record next to Biden is interesting. On the whole, if you're Palestinian, people were telling me Donald Trump will be better or certainly no worse. But when you start talking about ethnic cleansing, when you start talking about stripping more money away, you are getting worse. Biden and Harris was an awful choice in so many ways. But Trump is not good on Gaza. Trump is not good on Palestine. And so you can trash Biden and Harris without romanticizing Trump. Just say they're all trash. Just say they're all trash. Because Donald Trump right now, if you talk about taking 1.8 million people from their homeland permanently, you're talking about a pretty awful thing. But that's what he's proposing. I don't believe it's possible. I think this is his deal, his negotiating status, to say an absurd number and then try and drag the opponent to his side. And it works. We saw that with Barack Obama. He stayed coming to the right with negotiations. He already sacrificed half his stuff before he got there. and it only got worse after that. Whew. I'm not trying to say, and I told you so, or anything like that. But if you thought that Trump would be easy on Gaza, you know, or that, you know, he doesn't like war, and there's certain ways that that's true, but he's very clearly about this. The next 4 years are going to be hell for Palestinians, just like the previous 4 years were. Make no illusion that if only they voted for Kamala, things would be okay. That's not true. Things would be bad no matter who's president. But things are bad, and we got to keep track of that. We got a comment coming in from BK707. Dr. Frozen Sidwell just met with the UNSG fighting for kids in Gaza. I suggested him last week. Please make the time to give him voice. Absolutely. I'd love that. I'd love that. This week will be great. Next week will be great. Let's figure it out. Looking for your questions. Here we go. But I can't wait to bring in BK707. Or his BK707 suggested guest. Hassan, thank you so much for gifting a membership. I'm going to do my best to get back up here tonight. Let's see if we can get one more question in. Yes, things are bad. Not a ton of questions, but we'll take whatever we can. Suzanne said, feel better soon. Thanks for showing up. Yeah, I'm glad to show up. I'm glad I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm still very tired, very lightheaded. But we do the best we can with what we got. Anyway, I'm gonna take it down for now. I'm gonna try and come back on tonight and do some more. It's a straight live Q&A. But I was happy to talk to you all about Trump tonight and what's going on there. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump is proposing an awful situation in Gaza. I think it's in his negotiating style to start with something extreme. But that extremeness is basically proposing an ethnic cleansing like almost none other we've ever seen in modern history. This is awful. Palestinians aren't going to leave the land. They're not going to fold. They haven't folded in over 100 years. They're not going to start now. So then the question becomes when they don't fold, then where do you land? That's the final story. Anyway, family, I'll see you all later tonight or tomorrow, depending on what you want to see. Also, check out the Irv Gotti video if you were interested in hearing more about that. In the meantime, family, take care of yourself. Hit that like button, hit that join button, and if you're so inclined, hit that subscribe button. We could use the support. It's been a slow month, obviously, because I haven't been here. So please, if there's a way you can support us financially, we do appreciate it, including hitting that member button and becoming a monthly subscriber. But if you can't do that, I totally understand. But what I do ask is that you go to Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle and drop something for this month's tuition. It can be $1. That's okay. It could be $1 million. That would be even better. But anything in between $1 and $1 million is also deeply, deeply, firmly welcomed. You can go to Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. While any amount will do, what we're asking for is $10. If everybody watching right now could donate $10, we would meet our financial goals for the month. If everybody watching would donate $10, again, through Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Peace.